up, everybody? Welcome back to the SwigTalk podcast. It's your man, your boys, MC Swigga, and today we got our very special guest. As always, we have South Jersey Sam, aka Sam Fleming. How you doing, man?
I'm doing alright, man. Hanging in there like everybody else is trying to in this crazy-ass time we're in.
Preaching to the choir, man. Preaching. First question I got is, what was life like for you before you were a content creator?
Well, you know, being a content creator wasn't exactly... before being a content creator, I should say, wasn't exactly easy, you know. Before I had my current job, I used to work at my father's print shop in... not too far away from where I live. Basically printing t-shirts. You know, it wasn't exactly the highest paying job. It was practically a local business and everything. So after a while, I got introduced to like watching these, you know, videos on YouTube and all the nostalgia critic like stuff and angry video game nerd stuff, and even came across like Huey's animated movie reviews, excuse me, and then all the other guys on That Fell in the Coat, and it was like, holy crap, these guys can do all this stuff with just a small shoestring type budget. Why don't I just do the same thing? So that's basically how I got started along the way.
So that takes us to the next point, which is the persona of South Jersey Sam, the alias, the on-screen character, all that kind of thing. What exactly inspired that?
Well, another thing that inspired it were another set of YouTube videos, which were the Gmod videos, all the Gary's Mod videos. And for those that don't know, or probably haven't watched any of them before, these are like machinima type videos where they took like ragdoll figures from like video games that you'd find from like all the Steam based games like Left 4 Dead, Half-Life 2, Portal, all this other stuff, and just basically go nuts with it. Just do whatever you want, just have like so much chaos, and just one of the most notable videos was from like Das Bullshit. And, you know, Kitty 0706.
Get that motherfucker!
And then I thought, you know, instead of like putting... Another time I didn't have a camcorder when I started doing the video, so I thought, you know, Gmod... There's nobody that does a Gmod character when it comes to reviews, so why don't I put myself as like this character from Gmod? And I thought, you know, what could really set this guy different from everybody else? So I used one of the civilians from Half-Life 2 in like a grayish type of shirt, had a pair of glasses because I wear glasses in real life, and I thought, you know, I need something on my head, I need to wear something. I didn't want to wear like a fedora or a fez or anything, you know, that was too familiar with like anything I wasn't familiar with, like the Doctor Who stuff or anything like that. So I thought, Bill's hat that was used in Team Fortress 2 based off Left 4 Dead. So I'll wear a red Bill's hat on, and that's where the character came in. And of course the scenario with being in the Gmod universe was I could do just as much crazy stuff with Gmod stuff compared to like everything you see from, you know, That Guy with Glasses or Channel Awesome as it's known as now, to like, you know, Huey's stuff, how we used to have like animated skits here and there, to even like Morgan's crazy stuff where he had like Digit and so many other characters. I could do like something better than that and introduce like anything I want in it. So there's like a lot of free range when it comes to like the Gmod work. So
Kind of brings us to a kind of a side question about that. I asked a friend of mine, Ryan, who's a big help with these videos. He's a mutual friend. He asked if you'd ever consider doing more source filmmaker, I think that's what it's called, doing more videos of that nature in the future as a possibility.
Well, source filmmaker, even though it looks easy, is a bit of a challenge to work with. It's basically, I mean, and keep in mind, I've worked with computer animation before. I worked in computer animation during my my time in college, in Camden County College, and it can be a bit of a challenge to work with computer animation. It's not like stop motion where you have to be very delicate, but it's definitely a harrowing process where you have to make sure none of the movements and none of the motions go out of place and just become a complete mess, especially when it comes to the rendering process. So I don't think I'll ever go into Source Filmmaker as much as I did when I tested it before. But, you know, there could be a time where I might try to, like, test it out, really get in the waters a bit there.
And we get to your main content, the thing that really blew you up was your reviews and your top 10 videos. What would you say was kind of the beginning of that, and where would you say was kind of a key inspiration for some of these? Because your videos, you didn't just review movies and stuff like that. You talked about like tons of different stuff. You talked about video games, that being a very big one. You talked about some TV specials, a lot of animated stuff. What would you say kind of made you decide that was what you wanted to do with your reviews and your top 10s?
Well, when it came to like the subject matters that I did, between, it's like, take for example the first video I did, which was the top 13 worst songs. I felt like it was a way to help build into something that nobody's done before. People have talked about like, oh my god, this song is so horrible in this movie. Why did they even make it? You know, and I was like, you know, what if I did like a list of like the worst songs ever? Now most of it, and most people have said this before, was like taking too much of myself and being like a clone of the nostalgia critic. And that's something I try to avoid to do later on down the road. But it was just a way to build myself in a way to be a reviewer and just have fun with the content that I provide.
Why 13? Because that's my lucky number. So, turn down the volume and put on some earplugs, because this is the top 13 worst songs.
And the other thing was, part of the inspiration also came from Morgan Ledger, who has his own show with Vaulting, where he talks about things that nobody knows about. And I thought, what if I try to do the same thing in certain aspects? Like how I talked about Night of the Headless Horseman.
You know, when it comes to Halloween, there's always one story that people tell during the season. And out of all of them is the classic story by Washington Irving, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
To like all these other specials and movies and all these other moments. Even when I did like a few collaborations, like I did the episode of when I talked about Mirage from Disney's Aladdin, the TV series, it was also part of like myself growing up, watching the show, knowing about the characters and the episodes and everything. It's basically me projecting like the same type of viewership that others would have in their perspective. So it's like trying to do the same, you know, just try to really meet in the minds of everybody that watches my content. So,
and out of the many villains created, there was one that, in my opinion, stood out from the rest. None other than that feisty feline, Mirage.
I am Mirage.
the other thing was like when I'm not doing like the reviews, I'll do like other things here and there and just try to build around that, see how well they do. Like when I did Let's Play videos with the Five Nights at Freddy's games.
Hello folks, this is South Jersey Sam here, and I'm trying my first Let's Play as part of my Game Time series of Five Nights at Freddy's, a very popular indie game. So popular that it has been greenlit on Steam and is now on Steam itself for the same price as you would get it from Desora or Amazon, $5.
And you know, it was like a hit or miss there. It didn't catch on compared to like my other videos, so it was like an experiment. But then again, you know, this was during the big phase of the Five Nights at Freddy's craze and everything, and that was kind of going up and down on the radar, so.
Yeah, that's understandable. It's always good to experiment and do different stuff with your content. When would you say you got picked up by Mr. Coat and Friends, and what would you say was your reaction to it?
This happened a few videos, actually this happened sometime after I did my top 13 list, and around that time I eventually spoke with Logan Reidenbaugh, Huey Toonmore and all, and we did a few videos together. I helped edit a few of his videos at the time, and eventually we did a collab, which was the top 10 Rankin Bass characters from the Christmas specials.
Hey everyone, this is Huey of Huey's Anime Movie Reviews, here in this wonderful house in the... Where are we exactly?
Well, this is considered to be
the third dimension.
I see.
Logan was talking to Stefan, Mr. Coat, about putting me on the show. It's like, well, once you actually have like 3 videos, then I'll consider adding you onto this. So it was like, okay, so I'll just try and think of other videos to work with. So that's when I did like a few other reviews. I think It's been a while since I looked at my episode list, but I know I did one about Spielberg movies, and one of them I did was Schindler's List, one of my personal favorites. Another video before that, I think. I can't remember which one it was. But I know sometime after I got picked up, then I started to do like other videos, including another top 13 list, which was about Fox characters. And then, it just sort of built from there. And it's great for what I was able to, it was great to get involved with that, because I met a lot of new people and great people to work with, between Logan, then eventually Morgan and James, and so many other great people that I come in contact with a couple times. It was a good experience for the most part.
And so it's not just Mr. Coat. You're also partnered with Frederator Studios, and why don't you talk a little bit about that for people who might not know what Frederator is?
Well, the thing is, I wasn't entirely involved with Frederator Studios, but it was more of a community page that they have. But this was like sort of an outreach program that they did, where they would get a lot of people involved in animation. And it was a great way for me to like branch out and also become a content creator, excuse me. It's not a contact creator. But it was interesting because it was a great way to really project more work and really branch out into discussing so many other different things. And it was great to really work with that, because it helped to also be around a community where they would give you like certain tips and tricks of what to do in filmmaking and everything, and also get involved with other people involved in the community, because there was a lot of interesting people involved with the Frederator Studios. But I think, the thing was, they weren't, I think I'll give them a little credit that they weren't trying to like force people to make videos every week, at least not in my perspective. But I know they did have a minor issue when I did my look back on the Hanna-Barbera Studios, where in the opening I had mentioned a Channel Frederator production, and they weren't exactly angry, but they were a little perplexed. They were a little miffed about it. And it was like, well, you kind of you shouldn't really say that it's a Frederator production since you're not associated with us. I was like, well, I was just putting it in as a joke, so they were at least understandable to that degree. So it wasn't a huge issue where it turned into like a major lawsuit or anything.
Oh, that's good. Talked a little bit about people you worked with, like Morgan and James, who we had on the show, and Logan, who I hope to at some point get on the show. But these collabs and these crossovers and cameo videos, what would you say were probably some of your favorite of those collaborations?
Oh man, it's hard to really play favorites when almost every one of them I've done always have like a great moment to just do. It's really the experience itself of doing all the collabs is a lot of fun to work with. It's hard to really rank. It's hard to really rank which is like my personal favorite or like what's really the best ones. But out of like my personal favorites, I would put the top 10 '90s cartoon intros that I did with Logan for the Huey episode as one of my personal favorites, as well as the big one, which was the Vaulting 100 that I did with Morgan and James and everybody else. That was like, even though I was on vacation when we were doing that whole thing, at the time it was like the most productive thing I've ever done in a while, because every so often I haven't really get a chance to really think of anything. But doing all of that was just fun. We were just like having fun, letting loose. Even though everything was scripted, we were just going AWOL with everything and going AWOL in like the right way, not like some sort of bad, like a bad time of like trying to film Apocalypse Now or anything. So
Going on the whole favorite videos thing, in terms of your own videos, what would you say was your favorite or least favorite video that you've ever done for your channel?
Well, let me bring my channel up just to be sure. So sometimes I hardly keep track of my own videos. Now, I will say this. There is another part of history that some people may not know about me, but before I even did like my own reviews, I used to do music videos on the side. I'm not sure if you remember this. Well, these were like animated music videos, like I call them Halloween music videos, HMVs. I sort of branded that name. But after a while, I realized, these videos are kind of stupid, you know. That's why I deleted most of them, because I thought like what I did was just really stupid after a while, and eventually I just removed most of them except for the Grim Grinning Ghosts one, which is still up, and my most viewed video ever. As far as reviews go, I will say, you know, I'm looking over the whole list I've done. My personal favorites would have to be between the Hanna-Barbera episode, the top 13 Christmas songs, and the top 13 worst songs. I'm a little iffy on my worst songs video because, you know, I was rusty. I was like starting out.
That's how everybody feels with their first video. I feel that with mine too.
As far as other videos I've done, I also like my Alpha and Omega video game review that I did as part of the guest show collab, where he would upload other people's review based on certain topics, like the Alpha and Omega series from Bob's show. So with that out of the way, it comes down to one simple question. Did it really need a crappy DS game? As well as the top 7 Christmas riffs from riff tracks that I've done, as well as also putting a good end cap on the Five Nights at Freddy's reviews.
I would definitely say it's worth a play and will certainly be known as one of the best indie games in recent years. Within the top 20 at least. Will there be another Freddy's game in the future? At this point, nobody knows. The popularity will fade away after a while, but it certainly won't be forgotten, especially since it has a novel and a movie coming out soon.
Alright, well, this is basically the wrap-up. I have listed, and I always ask everybody this, future content, upcoming stuff that you're working on, social media plugs if you want to do any of that. Like, just basically to let the people know if you got anything in the works that they could look forward to and where they could find your stuff.
Well, I don't really have as much ideas. I mean, I do have a few ideas, but really it's all about if I really plan to do it. Because sometimes I hardly have the time for it. Other times it's like, you know, do I really want to do it? It's like, I don't know. But as far as other videos, I might plan to do other, like, different videos on the side aside from video reviews. I've been thinking of doing, like, some voice dubs, maybe do some more songs, because I've already done, like, the vampire rap and the 1, 2, 3 music video I did for James's Project Halloween projects.
Oh yeah, those were great.
See the blood stain, it means you're in my domain. This is the line. I can look all around, and soon you'll be found. This is the line. You might try to put up a fight, but I'll be there to take the bite. This is my night.
As far as social media, you know, even though I'm hardly on Tumblr, I'm still on there as South Jersey Sam. I'm also on Twitter, the same handle. Facebook, I don't post as much on my own South Jersey Sam page, but every so often I'll do like a few posts here and there on my regular Facebook. And you know, if you have any suggestions, like, if I should say this to anybody out there that has any suggestions or like any questions as far as my content goes, you know, feel free to drop me a line and I won't hesitate to answer. So aside from that, I'm pretty good for the most part.
All right, well, that's all good. Anyway, that concludes this episode of the SwigTalk podcast. As for upcoming MC Swigga content, I'm still working on my next Swigga game review. I finally checked the schedule. It's going to be on a Flintstones PlayStation 1 game. I think it's a racing game. I actually haven't started playing it yet, but it looks pretty fucking funny. I have a song parody in the works. I mentioned this the last time. It's a tribute to a YouTube channel I really like. That's a Video Game Donkey, and it's going to be set to Sia's The Greatest. As for a SwigTalk podcast next month, I'm going to try and get a good buddy of mine, Gus Webb, the Nostalgia Kid, as the guest, so hopefully we can get that down. Yeah, that concludes this episode, and thank you very much, Sam, for being on this episode.
No problem, man. Thanks for the opportunity. It's nice to get a chance to speak out and do other things here and there. Nice to do a little podcast, too.
This is F1315 New Jersey, signing out.